Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode at the Feminine Space podcast. Again, we have the lovely Cindy Stone with us as we dive into a topic that I'm sure is super close to her heart and also mine. Today, we're going to be talking all about creativity, how to dream big, and how to expand your vision and ideas limitlessly, and then how do we get there and how do we bring that to life? So we'll just touch on a little bit on the practical aspects of how does that even happen, but really dive into where do we need to be? What state do we need to be in order to be creative? And is creativity something that we're born with, innately within us? What is it exactly? So welcome, Cindy, to another episode here with me.
Hi, Natty, and hello, everybody. And I'm so excited about talking about creativity. It is my favorite topic, although I always say that about every topic. They're all my favorites.
Yep, mine too. This is really exciting because for me, creativity is really about that inner listening. I can only be creative, or these ideas only can come. Personally, I have noticed when I pay attention to it and when I give it value and when I really let it come to me and influence me in my actions. Because I feel like if there are only ideas spinning around my head, or if they're just daydreams or dreams, then it's not creative unless I formulate it externally in an expression where I let this energy, this creativity to flow through me and then out in some kind of action and some kind of expression. So what do you think, Cindy? What is creativity to you? Because that's my version of it, and that's kind of how I experience creativity within myself.
Well, you know what? So many people ask me, or they say, "Oh, you're so creative. I wish I was creative," and and I even thought at one point that I wasn't creative. And what I really discovered is that we are all creative, and we're all creative all the time. And the more that we allow this creativity to begin to bubble and boil inside of us, the more we can develop it and evolve it into a craft that we can use to become practical, to actually create something and have it out there. But what we don't realize, and I think that it really helps to know this, every time we put together a sentence, we're putting together something that didn't exist before. And that's what creativity is. I think that creativity is the most natural thing that we have. We were naturally created out of nothing, out of energy as human beings, and we continue to create things out of nothing, out of energy, all of our lives. Every time we go to sleep, we have dreams, and those dreams go beyond time and space and anything that we ever thought of in our waking day. So once I started thinking about creativity in this much more organic way, then I freed myself to really begin to think creatively. And again, we're going to go back to some mindfulness, and maybe not even so much mindfulness, but that deep contemplative way of being. And I think that in order to really allow your creativity, your ideas, your thoughts to bubble up and to begin to grow and evolve and just rise to the surface, deep contemplation and quietness is necessary. And, different people get that from different ways. Some people will get their ideas in a shower because their conscious mind has sort of gone offline. They're soaping themselves up and they feel great. And then they have these great bursts of ideas. Other people need to walk through the woods. Other people can be driving. So it really depends. And it's about allowing your conscious mind to just go offline a bit, get quiet, and allow that stuff, all that rich stuff from the unconscious mind to bubble up. And as you get more accustomed to allowing that creativity to bubble up, your mind goes, "Hey, you like that? I will give you more and more and more," because your mind, it just wants to please you.
Yeah, that's amazing. And creativity doesn't have to be in this artistic or practical or useful thing that in the end must be a masterpiece or must be perfect or must meet some kind of internal standard that we have of a certain creation. I know a friend of mine, she has a really great friend who's a professor in math, and he does loads and loads of research, and he's really at the forefront of this field. And he says to her that his mathematical formulas, the really, really deep and good ones, come when he's actually taking a walk outside. So really, although sometimes we, perceive things as, oh, I'm a creative, I'm the logical one, imagine this mathematician who is inspired in nature, and his best work actually arises from just this space from within when he's on a walk. So actually, there is no separation between all parts of us and how we are inspired or what forms of our creations come in. So I thought that was a lovely, lovely example, and it's such a strong image for me because it just shows that all parts of us, may it be logical, may it be our language, the reason, it's all there to help us be creative and to just create.
Well, it's funny that you talk about the mathematics, because I think a lot of us think about or get confused between mathematics and arithmetic. And arithmetic is 1 + 1 = 2. But mathematics is 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. Mathematics is that really rich world of algorithms and formulas that really speak to how our world is put together. So I was once married to a mathematician, and he was like completely creative in that realm. So your friend's husband is absolutely right. Mathematics is a very creative field, and there's so I think it's less to do with what you're doing and more to do with what you bring or imbue in each of your endeavors or projects or the things that you immerse yourself in. Because there's really creative people with cooking, and there's really creative people with dancing, and there's really creative people with writing, and there's creativity in everything, gardening, everything that you do. It's just how you listen to yourself, and there's always a structure, an underlying structure to learn underneath. So once you understand the structure of cooking, then you can begin to mix the elements and create something. Once you understand the structure of language, then you can take those elements and you can create something with it. And when we really understand the underlying structure of something in a deep way, that's when we become even more and more creative. I think there was a study done where the researchers asked people to be creative, and everybody kind of couldn't think of anything. And then they did another research question where they gave them parameters of something that they understood the underlying structure. And they said, okay, with this parameter and this parameter and this parameter and this parameter, create something that does this. And everyone was able to create something. So we kind of get afraid that creativity is this blank page that we have to fill with something. Creativity is something that comes with a form that we then fill up all these new things with. So don't get afraid of creativity. It's within us all in a very organic, genuine way. And it's just a matter of listening to yourself, whether you hear voices, you feel feelings, you see colors, you see images, you just have senses. Like, these are the things that you utilize for your creativity. And the more you work at it, the better you get at it.
I totally agree with you with how creativity actually comes about, because it isn't just about, being up there and dreaming all day and not relating that back to, where we are now and how that physically can come to form here. So I like to kind of describe it as we're playing in between the form and the formless. The form could be something physical, what we know in our heads, may it be, mathematical algorithms or whatever it may be, or maybe even a computer program that someone may be writing. It might be something that's already here, a little bit like the foundation, right? It needs to connect to some point here down on Earth. But then we can go into that formless realm where we can dream, where everything that we can think of, imagine, it doesn't have a form yet, but yet we have a sense for it, or we have a feeling for it, and then we are able to come back down and translate it into something that's here. And so it's a play between the two worlds. And so you need to pretty much bring all of you, all aspects of you here, so then you can bring it to life. And it does take effort, doesn't it, Cindy? I mean, creativity isn't something that happens by itself. We do need to actively almost nurture it in a way, like tend a project or tend to a plant.
It's like tending a garden, but it's that tending with love and joy that makes it sometimes feel like just like a rushing river, and that there is no effort, and it becomes effortless. But I love your the interplay of form and formlessness, because that's really where creativity lives, is in that world just in between the two. Where I find that people get afraid of their own creativity is when they think that they have to come up with everything totally brand new. Like, I was talking to my sister the other day, and she's super, super creative, and she doesn't think she is. So I have to talk to her about it all the time. And she said, oh my God, people are so creative, because we were looking at Pinterest. I don't know if you ever look at that. Mm-hmm. And they have just amazing things that people have created. And I said, well, you know, what's funny is that people see something, and then they will try it, and they'll build it, and then they'll change something. And then they'll change something else a little bit more, and then they change something else a little bit more. So it often happens that it lands on the foundation of somebody else's work. So, for example, a lot of the new physics that's going on today that's just like mind-blowing, I can barely even understand it, it all starts on the foundation of Einstein and some of his mind-blowing ideas back then. And then somebody else took Einstein's ideas and they changed them a little. And they said, oh, well, this one doesn't really work, but maybe this works. And so they compared and contrasted and created something new. And then something else new happens. So when we're worried about becoming too novel, we get afraid and we don't create. But when we can just let ourselves build on what's already there and existing, and that's the craft of art, of any kind of art. And there's the creativity, the inspiration, and then there's the crafting. And they both require that work that's involved. And when it all starts to flow, then it just feels effortless. But getting there often isn't effortless. Often it's like a grind. You know, sometimes it's a real struggle. And that struggle is okay. That struggle means that something is moving inside. You're grappling with ideas. You're grappling with the form and the formlessness. And something new will emerge if you stay in that struggle. I have a friend who is a Qigong and internal martial arts master. And he used to call it wrestling with Proteus. And Proteus is that Greek, I think he was a Greek god. And you had to wrestle with Proteus through the night. And if you got him to stay awake all night or something, I can't remember the exact story, then you got to hear a secret from Proteus. And that's that whole process of wrestling with an idea. If you can wrestle with it long enough, then you get the secret. The form out of the formlessness.
Yeah. And that is exactly it, isn't it, Cindy? I mean, creativity can be such a huge part of our lives because the moment we allow ourselves to be creative, there is change because we're coming from a new place. We're coming from a place of creation, and therefore we might encounter, aspects of ourselves, or we might engage with the world in a different way, and then things start to change. It might be slightly uncomfortable, and like you say, it could be slightly of a struggle, could be it's kind of like wrestling, but then as we overcome this newness or this foreign landscape, then we can fully integrate this creation or this new ideas and all these creations back into our lives. So it does take a bit of wiggling, especially if we, have certain expectations of how things need to be, or, if we're used to a certain box, whether it's how we're living or how we usually express ourselves. When we kind of wiggle around and expand this box, in whichever way, it can be uncomfortable, but the moment we do it, we expand not only who we are and what we do, but also in creation for others too. And I kind of want to share a little story of how when I was very young, I learned a lot of fine arts, just as like a really, really young child. And I learned this in this extremely typical Asian way, where you just copy all day long in these classes what your teacher drew or painted. And that was just through imitation that the Asian arts develop pretty much, or when you first start painting or drawing. So that's all I knew. But when I came to Canada, and I was taking art classes in high school, my teacher said to me, all right, here's the last project of this semester, of this school year, and you can choose, whatever topic you want. You can use whatever medium you want. And I was totally stumped because I was not used to this freedom. I always stuck myself inside of this box of always copying what the teacher wanted me to, trying to make it as similar as possible, and it was more of refining the skill of just imitation. But the moment this allowance came, the moment I was given the freedom, in this case by someone else, I didn't really give it to myself, then I thought, what can I possibly choose? Because I was not used to that, and it felt slightly uncomfortable, and I almost felt like I suddenly had this responsibility, of choosing both the topic and also the medium. But slowly I got used to it, and I really had to do that project, create the art in order to make peace with it and make peace with this, enlarged box and this enlarged way in which I allowed myself then to express and to create. So there may be a lot of, internal blocks or mindset things or beliefs that come up the moment we expand in this way, and the moment, creativity actually inspires us to live bigger too.
It's a great story, Natty, and sometimes we actually have to forget what we've learned in order to free ourselves. And as you were talking, I was thinking about how when we have clients in therapy, often they come in with this sense that they need to be certain. They have to have certainty. And certainty is a killer of creativity. And if you're walking through life always needing things to be certain, it's a very precarious way to live, because change happens all the time. This world is all about change. There's changing seasons, there's growth, there's evolution. It's always changing. And when we can embrace that change rather than trying to keep everything the same and be certain about everything, then we have access to all of that wonderful flow of life, of universal life and energy. And we have a greater access to creativity because we're open to things. We don't have this, everything has to be this way. So it's a beautiful story, and it just really illustrates so many ways that we get stuck in a certain way of being, in a certain mindset. And then what happens when that mindset opens, and then just, the universe is yours. You can reach for the stars and the moon and the sky. It's wonderful.
I think it's a great place to kind of wrap this episode up. And next time, I think, wouldn't it be a great idea if we talked more about this aspect of, okay, we're reaching into the formless and we're allowing ourselves to listen to these ideas or to imagine what is possible. But how do we manage or live in this space between, both listening to our heart and also using our mind and thoughts and this practical energy to actually make it happen? What do you think of that topic?
I think it's a brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how can we be an artist and feed ourselves and our family at the same time? Mm-hmm. How do we blend and balance the impracticality of these wondrous minds that can create anything, and the practicalities of living life. I think that's a great topic for us. And I think that what I'd like to do is create a lovely meditation for us all to help evolve our creativity right from the beginning. Really feel that security, that security that doesn't really exist, the security of going through change, of allowing change, of embracing change, and really listening to our own creativity that comes from inside.
And that's wonderful, because I'm sure that this meditation will impact people on every single aspect of their lives, because it's an expansion from within. So it will reach out in every single way. So if you want to download that and get it for free and listen to it from Cindy, then make sure to head over to femininespace.com/creativity and then just download it, and you'll get it in your inbox, and you can listen to it as many times as you want. And I encourage you to do it this week so that you can catch our next episode and further expand on this topic with us. So I enjoyed this talk so much, and I can't wait for next week, Cindy, because it will be lots of fun. And I love how we're kind of bringing this topic from the very beginning all the way to the end of the cycle, because creativity works in this way, doesn't it? It has a birth, it has preparation, it has that nurturing aspect, and then it needs this celebration and this kind of, I wouldn't necessarily call it death, but it does end and it does close at some point.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about today's topic and about doing the meditation for everybody. And I'm really excited about next week too, because we get to talk about how to put it all into practice so that we're not just talking about creativity, but we're living it and we're creating it to live as well.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. So head over to femininespace.com/creativity to do that and to fully engage in this topic. And then we'll see you again next week. So let's not forget, everybody, to flow with self-love and ignite your natural power. So thanks for being here, and then talk again next week.
Bye, everybody.